Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dr. Lisa Sulsenti podcast. I am Dr. Lisa, and today we're going to talk about a topic that I'm really passionate about because it's getting a lot of attention lately, and I'm excited. It's the GLP-1 medications for weight loss. And I want to talk about why your gut might actually be the key to producing GLP-1 naturally. So this is super exciting. So hear me out. Let's have fun. The GLP-1, it stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. And this is a hormone that regulates appetite, your blood sugar, and metabolism. And metabolism is your body's ability to use energy, make energy. So it's, breaking down your food, carbs, and fats, and proteins, and processing them, metabolizing them, and using them for energy. Here it is. If you take anything from this podcast, this is it right here. GLP-1, it's made in the gut. I'm going to repeat that. It's made in the gut naturally. And it's made by specialized cells that are in that gut lining called L cells. And we just had a whole podcast on the podcast before this about gut health. And this is the connection here. It's why I wanted to continue. There are L cells in the gut lining that actually make GLP-1. And here's the thing. Your body doesn't necessarily need synthetic medications if your gut is healthy and producing GLP-1 effectively and efficiently. It doesn't mean medications don't have a role for some people, but understanding how your gut creates this hormone naturally can empower you to take control of your metabolism and weight the right way. Now, I don't want to get into whether I agree with GLP-1 medications or not. And if you've had that conversation with me, you understand that I'm supportive. There's some people that are in a bad way, and this is a jump start for some people. But let's take this podcast at you learning that your body makes it. And it really depends on gut health, which is what I do. And let's just talk about it and why it matters. Now, the GLP-1, it's produced, again, primarily in the small intestine, and it has several critical roles. It tells your brain when you're full. So it's help regulating appetite. And it depends also on a hormone called leptin, which is going to be a hormone that tells you you're full. It's really important. I work with people with that have that problem where they're like, I just keep eating. I can't stop eating. I don't ever feel full. That's an issue. That's definitely a gut issue that can be addressed and can be fixed. It also stimulates insulin production to manage blood sugar. So that's really important. And do you see where gut health is so critical to symptoms? So if your blood sugar is going up, your insulin's going up, and they're going to give you medications, let's get to gut health because we can fix this. We can control it in this manner. It slows digestion so your body can absorb nutrients efficiently, and it can affect the metabolism and the fat storage in your body. So this is really where you see the medications help, right? You see all that. You see a lot of the protein loss, unfortunately, with that, and you don't really see and you get left with more fat. But that's another topic. So when the GLP-1 production is low in your body naturally, it can lead to increased cravings, especially for sugar and carbs. So if you find I asked that question when you work with me, do you crave sugar? Do you crave sweets? Do you crave baked goods? So those cravings can come from this disruption. Difficulty losing weight or maintaining a healthy weight. Blood sugar fluctuations. So high blood sugar, low blood sugar, or just like it's fine, then it's not. And that's not a safe thing to be. We've talked about a blood sugar dance. It's a big thing. I do the glucose insulin sugar dance. And also feeling hungry soon after meals, or really never feeling full, right? Always feeling hungry. That's another one. And the hormone's a natural part of the body's system for maintaining balance. All these balances we talked about, the cravings, the blood sugar, the weight loss, the healthy weight, and the cravings and the feeling hungry. But it relies, again, on our gut health. Please go back to the podcast before this where I talk about what gut health is, how it works, and why it's so crucial to you being healthy. The role of the gut health, having a healthy gut, is in this GLP-1 production. So your gut microbiome and your gut function, which is gut health. And let me just pause here. Gut health is that gut lining, that gut wall working properly, absorbing nutrients, eliminating toxins. It's also having a very healthy, robust, balanced gut microbiome. If you're like, I don't know what these words are, go to the podcast before because I dive into each one. These are critical for making GLP-1. So you can't have a leaky gut. You have to have a healthy gut to make GLP-1. And prebiotics are the foods, we're talking I said P-R-E, prebiotics, the foods that feed the beneficial bacteria. So the gut microbiome is made of good bacteria in all these families. And you want to make sure that they're robust. This is when I talk about tomatoes and I go, oh, the tomatoes are overgrowing the garden. That's an imbalance in the garden. You have one family of vegetables overgrowing the others. So this is the same idea of the gut microbiome, where you have a particular family of bacteria is overgrowing others. You have an imbalance. So you have to make sure that the gut microbiome is healthy. We do this through probiotics and prebiotics. Now, prebiotics feed the probiotics. The probiotics are the good bacteria, the microbiome, the thing we just talked about, the soil, the terrain of the entire gut. But the prebiotics are the food. It feeds the good stuff. Sugar, processed sugar. I'm not talking about fruit sugar. Please do not be afraid of it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Bad sugar, man-made sugar, American sugar, processed sugar feeds the bad stuff. It feeds bacteria, viruses, parasites, cancer cells, all of it. The good stuff is fed by prebiotics, which are fibers in plants. So you know. Now, the way we work on gut health is prebiotics, probiotics, food sensitivities, removing parasites, all this stuff. Please go to the podcast before this so you can understand gut health really well. When your microbiome is thriving, when the gut wall is working well, they'll stimulate the L cells to produce GLP-1 naturally. I'm going to repeat that. When the gut microbiome is thriving and healthy, and when the gut wall is working well and properly, they help stimulate the L cells to produce GLP-1 naturally. Foods and nutrients that support the GLP-1 production are, and I just alluded a little bit to it, a high fiber vegetables. So vegetables like beans and legumes, but most vegetables really, because they have fibers in them that help stimulate the growth of the probiotics. That's what a prebiotic is. And this is really important on the one area of the gut that I go over in my stool test with my patients, is that when you have complex carbs, fruits and vegetables, right? You are going to take some of the fibers in them, your gut is going to do this, not you personally, and ferment them, and they make short-chain fatty acids, which act like the prebiotics. They help feed the good bacteria, the microbiome. So when I do a stool test, I look at the patient's probiotic, their microbiome imbalance, and I look at the prebiotic, the short-chain fatty acid imbalance, and we have to make sure both of those are in check, right? So some high fiber vegetables are beans and legumes, but there's also just really start eating vegetables and really start eating some fruits. Fermented foods do help the gut microbiome too, like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, if they're tolerated, because they're tough sometimes when you have a leaky gut. And then the fiber-rich polyphenol foods like the berries. Think of the purple fruits like acai, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. Berries are really good for it as well. So that's really good. Green tea is absolutely super helpful too. So if you have to pick a tea, pick green. Now, on the flip side of this whole story, a poor diet, excess sugar, and we're not talking the berry sugar, the fruit sugar. We're talking like, man-made processed foods and crap-ass sugar that's in like the drinks, and the foods and the box styles, the package styles. Think about what you're feeding your kids. It's a lot of sugar, just junk. Inflammatory oils. I did a podcast on seed oils. Seed oils are nothing new. They're really hydrogenated oils. They're oils that are made in a lab. They add hydrogen to it. They take a really healthy fat or a really healthy seed and they change it. So it's really just these processed oils that are in a lot of the boxed and packaged foods today. And the processed foods are probably one of the worst things. And I can tell you right now, America has probably one of the worst food systems we got going in the sense of processed foods. And I mean making foods. Probably growing them because they're really starting to get ruins the farmers' lives and lifestyles. So back to this, the flip side is a poor diet, excess sugar, these bad fats and bad oils, the processed foods, the fast foods, the restaurant foods, they can damage your gut bacteria and reduce this natural GLP-1 production. So look at your life, please. Look at what you're eating. And if you know, and you're driving in your car right now going, yeah, I eat crappy. I know it. I know what I got to do. Well, that's why you don't have the GLP-1, you know? If you want to change that and you don't want to do the medication, because even if you do the medication, I'm telling you right now, you'll lose weight, but you're going to lose all your protein. Your skin's going to get flabby. You're going to have a lot of fat. Now, we could talk about that on another time, because you really need to make sure that you're in the gym and getting that protein built. But my point is, you can do this naturally if you want, right? It's here. It's in you. So why the synthetic isn't the whole answer is because something like the semaglutide or these other weight loss injections, they particularly found that those with significant insulin resistance or obesity, it can help them. They have found that, right? We can't argue that. It is helping people from specific situations. If we can't get their insulin down, they need to lose 100 pounds, 150 pounds, they can't get their cholesterol down. There's just problems going on that are severe health issues. They do help, but they don't fix the root cause. So don't think I'm against it if you're in a very critical situation, but they don't fix the root cause. And that's where you come in. So at some point, if you're on the GLP-1s and you're walking around going, no, I lost this weight, but you've got to understand when you get off it, the root cause and the problem may still be there. And this is what this podcast is for you. Because if your gut isn't producing the GLP-1 properly because of your leaky gut, the gut microbiome imbalances, the inflammation, the immune system attacking things at the gut lining, your poor nutrition, your lifestyle might be a bad thing, your poor choices, your body will continue to struggle with appetite control, blood sugar regulation, and weight management over the long term of your life. Because you're not going to be on these medications forever. So supporting your gut naturally only helps your body produce the GLP-1 efficiently. And that's a solution that lasts, right? So whether you're taking the medication, thinking about taking the medication, or completely against the medication, this podcast is for all of you. All right, here's some practical ways to support the natural GLP-1 production in your body. So I mentioned a few, but you really want to eat the prebiotic and the fiber-rich foods. Now, if these bother you, you need to step aside and say, listen to the podcast before this because I talk about this, and say to yourself, all right, why do these foods react? If you're reacting to foods, then you have food sensitivities, and it's coming from the immune system attacking foods when you eat them. And this is an inflammatory condition. So what you need to do is step aside and pause and come to me and work on figuring out which foods are truly a trigger. Now, you could be eating a lot of foods and you think everything's a trigger, but that's not necessarily the case. So the goal to support the natural GLP-1 production is eat prebiotic and fiber-rich foods, the fruits and the vegetables. Right? So your body can make and ferment the fibers in them and make the short chain fatty acids and the prebiotics that you need for the GLP-1 production. You can try fermented foods as well, which we talked about. And you need to figure out which probiotic matches your gut microbiome imbalance. So if you're super serious about getting your GLP-1 production under control naturally, you want to make sure that the prebiotic is the correct one for you and the probiotic plan is the right one for you. And we do this through my stool testing. My stool testing will look at your gut microbiome, all the families that you were born with, what you have, and it's going to look at which ones are too high, which ones are too low, and we match the probiotic up for your gut microbiome so we can fix this imbalance. It also looks at your prebiotics and says, where is the weakness there? What do we need to do? I also include and recommend in this is running food sensitivities so you can really just know, hey, I can't have blueberries, I can't have bananas, and I can't have dairy. And we remove those three things, which calms down this inflammatory process in the gut that's affecting the GLP-1. You also want to eat a balanced protein and healthy fat diet. So the best thing is when you're making your plate, like look at your plate, and you want to make sure that you have a lot of the vegetables and fruits. That should be the main thing in your plate. The main thing in your plate should not be a protein. It shouldn't be like, here's my steak with my broccoli on the side. It literally should be a stir fry with the steak in it, a salad with the protein in it. Now, it doesn't have to be those two things, but I'm trying to give you an idea that it really is about fruits and vegetables with about 3 to 4 ounces of protein. And you do want to have protein at every meal with the healthy carbs. You want a really good carb, fruits and vegetables, with a really good protein. And that could be, grass-fed beef. It could be, chicken, turkey. It could be eggs. It could be fish. Protein also can be some of the plants, the tofu, edamame. I'm thinking off the top of my head, so sorry if you're saying something and I'm not saying it, but beans, legumes, things like that. And you want that a balanced plate. You want a healthy fat in there, no bad fats. And that's how you really want to eat. So you want to avoid the processed foods, the refined sugars, these bad oils, these bad fats, because they really harm the gut bacteria and they blunt out that GLP-1 production. You want to support your gut health. And that I just talked about in the podcast before here. And that addresses that gut imbalance, the gut microbiome. It addresses the leaky gut wall. It talks about the immune system reaction to foods and inflammation that actually comes from the whole poor gut health or leaky gut. And you actually want to start thinking about prioritizing sleep and stress management. If you're stressed out, cortisol can influence your gut health. It can affect hormones. And of course, all of this affects GLP-1. Now, I talked about this before too, that I go down to the root cause and I feel like the first thing I have to do with a patient is really get the gut working well and improve the gut health. And a lot of times what I see is the neurotransmitters start balancing out, the nutrients start balancing out, the brain starts balancing out, and this cortisol comes down and they sleep better. Instead of going over to the adrenals and just dumping supplements into the adrenals, what I try to do is I try to manage stress management and cortisol through making sure the person has a healthy gut. And this will affect GLP-1. We're going to get into sleep. The sleep's an interesting thing, but that definitely is influenced. And also what I'm going to challenge you to do is look at your lifestyle. Really look at your lifestyle. Don't get overwhelmed by it, but maybe you could pick like one thing today where you're like, oh, I'm going to work on that. So maybe it's like, I'm going to drink more water and stop drinking soda and stop drinking, I don't know. Don't judge. I'm not judging you, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head when I do these podcasts. So it could be, say you drink Snapple iced tea or Arizona iced tea. I know I've seen people grab the Wawa iced tea, stuff like that. Just the junky stuff, right? Not the fresh juicing and the fresh juice or something like a smoothie you're making. I'm talking more of the junk, and maybe you're going to clean up and drink more water. And I'm saying that because that's what I need to do. I always tend to drink more healthy teas and maybe juice and then not have enough water. So that's something you could do. Maybe one other thing you could do if you're like, I just can only handle one thing right now. You don't go to fast food. You're going to give up the fast food thing, right? So maybe you're saying, you know what, just not going to go through Chick-fil-A. I'm just not going to go through McDonald's. I'm just not going to do the Dunkin' Donuts, right? I'm not going to do the Starbucks. So just pick one thing and start cleaning up your life. We all have it. This is no judgment. And please don't think I'm perfect at this. I'm human and I live in America. So even the smallest change can make the biggest difference. You could actually, just start adding some prebiotic veggies, right? So start adding some more veggies to your diet or more fruit if that's something you suffer with or you struggle with. I wouldn't say suffer. Sorry about that. You want to support the GLP-1 production in your body, which will help curb those cravings and naturally. If you have an interesting craving and you're struggling, don't be afraid to have a consultation with me and we can talk about some of the things you're struggling with. I'm really good only because I've been doing it forever at helping you find something you love in a healthier form. I've been doing it with kids. I used to do food play. I was very, very, very big with the kids when my kids were little and really helping kids eat healthy. And so if they love, I always say, Nutella, we just make a healthier version of that. Or if they loved goldfish, we'll do a healthier version, or gummies or whatever. So if there's something you're struggling with, don't be afraid to just have a consult. You don't have to do lab testing with me. You can come and meet with me and we talk about you and your struggles, your life, where you make these simple changes to help support the GLP-1 production. We also do have supplements if you're a supplement person that does help the GLP-1 production here, but you know how I am. I'm more about getting you to get your gut health in check and make these changes in your lifestyle so that you could do this long term. I'm going to wrap up. Before I wrap up here, I want to add in why it matters for women today, because this is mostly a woman thing. Women in particular, they're turning to these synthetic GLP-1 medications, I believe, without fully understanding gut health, can do the same job naturally. I think you're not being told that, and it's a misservice or disservice to you, because I feel like even when women go through cancers and they go through thyroid problems and they go through all these things, they're not really told like what are the other options or what this is really all about. They're just told one narrative. So that's why I wanted to do this today, because I feel like supporting your gut can do the same job naturally. And supporting your gut not only helps with weight management, but it'll balance the hormones, it stabilizes blood sugar, and it will reduce inflammation in the body. So gut health is really, really the cause. If you've been through any major health issue, you want to get this in check. When they say cancer comes back, what does that even mean? You didn't like get rid of it and then re-catch it. It's not the flu, right? It means it was still within you. It was just quiet. So think of gut health. Think of it as the foundation of your health overall, the whole body. GLP-1 medications can be a tool in certain situations for sure, but without a healthy gut, you're only addressing the symptom and not the cause. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. It's a really tough subject, and there is no judgment here. GLP-1s, it is a powerful thing, but your gut is the real game changer. By supporting your microbiome and your gut health, feeding the cells that produce GLP-1 in your gut wall, that gives you control of your appetite, your metabolism, and your weight naturally. Well, if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future episodes. And please share it with a friend who you feel that they could use the support, both in their gut and their hormone health. Talk soon. I'll see you at the next episode, and thanks again.